Thank you all for coming tonight. So this is my senior project, the Art of Education seminar. First, I just want to thank everybody for coming tonight, and for North Raleigh Church of Christ for providing the facility. Let me see here. Okay. So today's speakers is me, Michael Cesar, and then towards the end, unfortunately he could not be here, but he did provide a video of Clay Alexander, who's the director of first-year undergraduate admissions for the University of Tennessee. So my school is Falls Lake Academy. For my senior project, we had to do something that meant a lot to us. So one thing that I wanted to do was improve our school's methodology of teaching using different schools around the local area of North Carolina. So currently, Falls Lake Academy is in the top 30% of NC charter schools. They have a 47% math reading proficiency, and they also have a 68% reading proficiency score. So what I want to do is increase this through different methods. So our principal is Jody Pearson for the high school, and then our executive director over elementary, middle, and high school is Mr. Joey Johnson. So they have recently been employed. So when they came here, Joey Johnson, I believe he came a little over a year ago, and then Mrs. Pearson started this school year. So when they first came in, they noticed different things that they wanted to improve about the school. So the first thing that they did was an app called Smart Pass, which locates different students and where they are in the school. Let's see, so if you wanted to go to the bathroom, you would sign out, and it would record how long you would be in the bathroom for, so that students aren't skipping class and all that. Okay. They also installed vape detectors, because unfortunately we did have problems with students using vape in the bathrooms. So that was a great improvement. And then lunch detention for tardies. Before, this was actually still in the handbook, but it was not implemented until they came, so they just wanted to implement rules and regulations that were previously disregarded. And so I believe 5 tardies equals a lunch detention, and every tardy after that. So I interviewed Mrs. Pearson, and she said for her goals for FLA, her goal is to push for student growth, because proficiency is wonderful. However, we want to make sure that our students are growing. And so I ran with this quote and wanted to help her in that venture. So for my senior project, what my driving question, everybody had to have a driving question. My driving question is, what can Falls Lake Academy and other local schools do to increase school morale, improve test scores, properly and effectively address behavioral issues, create a vibrant academic environment to better prepare students for beyond graduation and post-high school plans. So, introduction. So what I did was, after assessing Falls Lake Academy's current standing and their rankings, I evaluated 4 higher ranking schools. And so these schools included parochial school, secular private, secular charter, and then charter-based, project-based learning, which currently Falls Lake Academy is a project-based learning. And this is all for diversification of the sample, as it provides a wide variety for analysis. So the first person I looked at was Luddy Schools. So Robert Luddy, he's a entrepreneur. He won the, let's see what this is, the Ludwig von Mises Entrepreneurship Award. He is known for his entrepreneurship in captive air systems. He started it when he was really almost at a high school, when he was in college. Later in life, he decided to venture into the academic world and improve academics and education, specifically in North Carolina, but also in other states. So the first school he created is St. Thomas More Academy, which was founded in the first school was Franklin Academy in 1998, which he founded. which is a secular charter school. The second school he founded was St. Thomas More Academy, which was founded in 2002, and then Thales Academy in 2007. So St. Thomas More is parochial, Franklin Academy is a secular charter, and then Thales Academy is a secular private. So what makes Luddy School so successful? So he says, our schools are very dynamic. We teach our students to be constantly learning, growing, and improving, to strive for excellence in everything that they do. So the first school that I evaluated, and I lumped this all based on degrees of closeness to our academic standing, whether it be private, charter. So St. Thomas More is a small parochial school in North Carolina founded in 2002 by Bob Luddy. Let me see here. So their current ranking is they are the number 4, the top number 4 Catholic high school in North Carolina. They have a 1,300 average SAT score, and then they have a 31 average ACT score. Their STMA's headmaster is Deacon Brad Watkins. Unfortunately, he could not be here tonight, but I did talk to him, and very valuable information. So they are known for their 3 C's. So the first C, the C stand for Catholic, Classical, and College Preparatory. Because of its parochial status, they fully integrate religion and religious ideas and services readily available to all students on campus. So this includes Mass, confession, adoration, and spiritual guidance. They implement, let me see here. Oh. So for the classical part, they subscribe to the academic philosophy of classical education. So classical education is where students, they use a variety of different methods. And so they also use the Socratic method, which I will get into later. But what they want to do is they want to help kids critically think through their high school career. And the last is college preparatory. They have rigorous courses, and they have lecture-based classes similar to college to make sure that they're well suited for high school, college, after high school, and the college environment. Another thing is that they have been proven to be successful because they had a 90% graduate rate. 90% of graduates go on to attend a 4-year degree, and then 81% of the alumni have a 3.5 GPA in their first semester. So the first one, the method that I analyzed was the lecture-based classes. So St. Thomas More conducts their classes in a lecture-based style. So they teach with speaking in front of the class to the students. And they talk on the subject matter, and they, in order so that students will be well acquainted with the college style of teaching. So they teach primarily first in front of the classroom, and then they have projects and things to work on. But they're primarily teaching through lecture-based classes. The second thing is the student-to-teacher mentorship. So because St. Thomas More is very, very small, the teachers have a personal relationship with the students. So the teachers can help and aid students through their rigorous courses, and which helps students have that close relationship with their teachers instead of the impersonal relationships with larger classes that, unfortunately, teachers cannot have that close relationship. The next one is quite long. It's called Trivium. So Trivium was a big part of classical education where Luddy really wanted to enforce this in all his 3 schools. So Trivium uses 3 phases, but because St. Thomas More is primarily a high school, they do have recently, well, not recently, but later on they did start middle school, but primarily a high school. They have they take Luddy's 3 phases that is spread out through elementary, middle, and high school, and they condensed it into 4 courses each year of their high school career. So The first one is the grammar phase. So the grammar phase is in freshman year. So what this entails is that you'll learn facts and gain knowledge of these facts through the direct instruction that I talked about. Next, we have the formal logic. So this will help students discover, relearn the facts they learned before, but they will learn the principles behind these facts, and they will understand the deeper meanings of these facts and the importance through critical thinking. Think of it as elementary, freshmen, you learn what, like the knowledge, and then the sophomore year you will learn why. Why is this so? And then third, they have college workshop. College workshop entails students learning valuable information and practical skills to better prepare themselves for college life. And then, of course, last is senior thesis workshop and the senior seminar. So this entails with students, this is the last phase of the Trivium course. And so they take all the 4 courses that they learned and they put it and they help them in their senior year, and then they also work on their senior thesis, as every senior has to complete a senior thesis, similar, of course, to college. So the next thing is they have the preventive system. So it was invented by St. John Bosco in the Salesian tradition. It's grounded in 3 principles: reason, religion, and loving kindness. So basically, reason in that the students reason with their kids instead of just telling them X, Y, Z, they reason with them to make them understand why don't do this, don't do that. They just don't say don't do this. They reason with the students to make them understand why they're doing a violation of a law, one of the rules. Next, they also provide frequently available masses, adoration and confession and spiritual guidance, and they also care deeply for each student, especially the disruptive, instead of just shaming them and moving on with their life. So there are 2 different systems, they believe, the repressive system and the preventive system. So the repressive system is what you typically think of when you think of harsh schools. So they make rules known, they detect, and they are a stickler of rules within, and they detect the violations. They also impose harsh punishments because of when violations do occur. And they are never seen among the students. They want to seclude themselves so that they have this kind of authoritative, which isn't bad, but it is what it is. And they also want to be impersonal to show that they have authority over the school. They also want to shame offenders so that other people do not offend the rules. And they're not empathetic, they're strictly academic. But the preventive system goes a different way. They gently remind students of the consequences and why this is bad and why they shouldn't do this. They lovingly correct. So they reprove students, but they don't impose harsh punishments as a first resort. It is the last resort. So they seldom impose these punishments as a last resort, and only when necessary. But when it is necessary, they want to counsel with the student and make sure that they understand why this action is not beneficial, and they want to, in a way that that the student even desires the punishment because they know that what they did was not great. They are always seen amongst their subjects so that they are more personal. They don't want to be, they want their authority, but they don't want to abuse their authority to where they become this impersonal, authoritative figure. They also, they want to gain the students' trust because they want to help students in their high school career. They don't want students to feel, oh, I don't like this teacher. And actually, studies have shown that in your formative years, it carries into your adult life. So that when you are a kid, let's say, and you get punished by a principal, let's say, it carries on to your adult life. And what the preventive system has said is that there's still bitterness from the person for this teacher or that teacher. And so what they want to do is they don't want to create bitterness, but they want to help the students and gain their trust so that they like their teacher, but at the same time know what they shouldn't do. The next thing is they obviously counsel students, like mentorship. And the benefit over a repressive system is that repressive system, they look at they set rules, and then when a rule is broken, they punish them. So it's kind of after the fact. So the rule's already broken, then you punish. This tries to prevent from happening in the first place. And they also want to, if it is broken, they want to improve the offender and make sure that they're not just punished and they have hard feelings, but they want to help them through counselship. Next, they have they assess underlying causes for why there's bad behavior. So if you have a bad family life, if you have a bad something is going on, they want to care about your whole person, not just your academic. And that which goes in the last one is they support the student as a whole. So that includes mind, body, spirit, which is not just academics, but exercise, having them go out into the outside and run around, get their energy out. And so they also use the Socratic method. So the Socratic method relays information as a question rather than a statement, so that the student has to answer a question and they're not just given facts and that's it. So after they ask the question and get the students' views on different things, then they kind of play devil's advocate so that they challenge their views so that they will develop their critical thinking skills. And then they open the class up for discussion. And so students, voluntarily talk about what they see, and not so much an debate, but to just reason through their beliefs. And so I wanted to end with St. Thomas More. St. Thomas More said, "One of the greatest problems of our time is that many are schooled, but few are educated." So his philosophy, and St. Thomas More Academy and Raleigh's philosophy, as well as St. John Bosco, was that we don't want to just educate our kids, fill them with knowledge, and send them on their way. They wanted to change that aspect to where education is about the whole person, mind, body, spirit. So that was their academic and religious philosophy. And then finally, a quote from Deacon Brad. Unfortunately, he could not be here, like I said, but he says that what makes St. Thomas More so successful with their academics and their test scores and life in general beyond college. So he said, St. Thomas More Academy offers a world-class liberal arts core curriculum which properly grounds our students by teaching them how to think deeply and articulate their thoughts clearly. Deacon Brad Watkins. So because it's a small class size and there's not many graduates, graduates are known to come back, and they're known to go on to do not great things as in like some do go on to do great things, but also fulfilling themselves. So some may go on to be lawyers, the typical things. Some may go on to be teachers. There's actually graduates who graduated just recently and become teachers and help because they loved it so much. And then some, of course, go into religious vocations. So the next one that I evaluated, because when I was doing this, I know that obviously St. Thomas More has religious, they integrate religious ideas, and of course, Falls Lake Academy, being a secular charter school, could not do that. So Thales Academy, the next school I want to talk about, it's a secular private school. So it's still a private school like St. Thomas More, but they are secular. So their academic standing is they are the number 9 best private school in Wake County, and that's for the Roseville location. And then for the Apex locations, they have a 1,300 average SAT score and a 30 average ACT score. So like St. Thomas More, they also integrate trivium. However, because Thales Academy goes elementary, middle, and high school, they spread it out not just in high school with the four courses, but through the whole entire child's experience from elementary all the way to graduation in high school. So, so the first one is they start in elementary school. So instead of starting in freshman year, they start in elementary school where they have students they will learn in the grammar phase. And what that means is that they will learn, obviously, the basic grammar rules and all that, but they will learn kind of the whats. They will gain knowledge, and of course, it's all through direct instruction, but they will gain the knowledge of what? They need to have a foundation of the facts, basically. And then in middle school, they graduate into the logic phase of why. Why does this work? The principles, just like how St. Thomas More in their sophomore classes. So they will learn, they will take what they learn from their grammar phase all throughout elementary school, and they will learn the principles behind these facts and why. So as Thales says, they will learn the deeper meanings of realities and the certainty of facts. And lastly, in high school, they go into the rhetoric phase. So the rhetoric phase is with rhetorical analysis, where students will now take the facts that they learn in elementary school, the why of the facts in middle school, and then they will learn the hows. How does this work? So in high school, they will learn analytical skills, and they will build upon these two phases to be able to support their beliefs through critical thinking. So basically, they will do research papers, they will do sometimes debates, different things like that. So now the second one is direct instruction. So Luddy schools are known for the direct instruction. So Thales uses the teaching method, so the direct instruction. So where the teacher, just like St. Thomas More, teaches in the front, and they have, but this time, and I believe it's different than St. Thomas More, they have a script. So it's very strict on the script. And they use the script, and the script, I believe, is provided. They don't write their own script. It's provided by the school. So then afterwards, they help their students with what they learned through direct instruction, and they will aid them dependently through guided practice, and then afterwards independently, whether it be for homework or in class. Next, of course, they also use the Socratic method, just like St. Thomas More, where they relay information as a question rather than a statement, so that the students feel a part of getting their critical skills to work, even at a young age. And then the administrators, Jill Ellison is the current administrator of the location in Wake Forest, and then Suzanne Lambert was the former administrator. And I just wanted to highlight one of the quotes she had. So Suzanne Lambert said that Thales Academy allows students to develop strong academic skills, engaging social skills, nurturing emotional developmental skills, as well as physical growth with a focus on healthy mind, body, and spirit. So they take care of the person as a whole, not just the academic side. Then I wanted to end with a quote by Thales himself. "The happy man is the one who is with a healthy body, a wealthy soul, and a well-educated nature," which encompasses their philosophy of mind, body, spirit. Okay, so the next one I wanted to analyze was Franklin Academy, because, of course, Falls Lake Academy is not a private school. They are a charter school, and Franklin Academy is a charter school. So Franklin Academy was the first location that Luddy opened in 1998. They provide free, high-quality education through the lottery system. And so let me see here. So their current academic ratings they're the top 5% of NC charter schools. They have a 77% math proficiency score and a 78% reading proficiency score. And this is not to put down our Falls Lake Academy, but this is to glean from other schools and what they have done so that we can boost our academic standings. So the first obvious method that they use is classical education, which so does St. Thomas More and Thales. So classical education, again, is the academic philosophy that they use, again, direct instruction amalgamated with the Socratic method. So they take they want to develop each student's critical thinking skills. And so they will be able to apply them and help the student both academically and behaviorally, again, emphasizing body, mind, and spirit. They also, believe it or not, have an underemphasis of test scores. Despite their great test scores, they do not emphasize it to the students. So They believe that students should not just focus on test scores, but that they should have a love of learning and a passion to increase their education, and not just about the written score. And obviously this is proved because of their underemphasis, because Franklin Academy, in turn, because they're not so hyper-focused about getting that good test score, it just comes naturally for the students. And then they have mastery of content. I know most schools, not all schools, but most schools, you get taught, you take a test, and you move on. They do not do that. They want to solidify the content and the subject matter in the student so that they are they're well acquainted with the material, and if they are not acquainted as a class, then they will shift their lesson plans so that if they had a test scheduled for next week, they may have to push it, which is fine because they want the students to be able to master the content before moving on to the next subject. And they don't teach the test. They don't just give the information that's going to be on the test, so you can just memorize different things and then you write it down, but you have to grapple with the content. And then Franklin Academy's head administrator, Denise Kent, I reached out to her. She's a very lovely woman. She said, we are kind of old school here. So what makes Franklin Academy so successful? She says, we are kind of old school here. We don't jump on every curriculum bandwagon that goes by. I think it allows for teachers to develop their own craft and be confident and feel like they know what they are doing. Which seems ironic since they have a script, but because they have a pre-written script by the school, they are able to spend their free time getting other resources for the classroom and not worrying about lesson plans so much. And then they are named after Benjamin Franklin, and he said, "Tell me and I forget, teach me and I may remember, involve me and I will learn." And that's their whole academic philosophy. So my last school that I analyzed is Magellan Charter School. Now I put them last because they are the closest to Falls Lake Academy. They are not one of Luddy's schools. However, Falls Lake Academy is designated as a public charter school with an emphasis on project-based learning, which also is Magellan. So it was founded in 1997, and they want to they have similar, not the exact strategies as these three other schools, but they want to help students love learning. And let me see here. Okay, so Magellan's current rankings are quite outstanding. They're in the top 2% of NC charter schools. They have an 87% math proficiency and 88% reading proficiency score. So they use Socratic seminars, which is like the Socratic method, but it takes a different avenue so that students get to, engage in different debates with other students, and they, especially in the subjects of English and history, because math and science you could probably get away with it, math would be a little difficult to do that. But they engage in debates, and they want to further, again, their critical thinking skills. And have to support whatever they're arguing, they have to support with research-backed evidence to support their conclusions. They also have a mastery of content so that students don't just pass a test and move on. They make sure that every student has a well understanding of each course material, and that people just don't get the barely passing grade and move on. They want students to excel, as their quote is, for highly motivated students. They have a real emphasis on that. Next, they maintain foundational skills. So they don't, a lot of schools just assume that you had the background knowledge, and then with that assumption, they just go into teaching the higher level course material. So they, for instance, if you are taking an English class, other schools would just assume that you know the grammar rules, comma rules, all this, and just assume, and if you don't follow them, you get a bad grade, they move on with their life. But they solidify and they go back to the basics. So for instance, when I was there, Mr. Braga, he had us do, he would color code the different grammar rules, add adjectives, verbs, and all this. Even though we're in 8th grade and we should know that, a lot of us just forgot about it because other schools just emphasize moving on and advancing before you even have a solid foundation. So he would make sure every day that we understood our grammar rules, that we understood the elementary stuff, because you can't write a good paper if you don't understand the basics. They also do a form of direct instruction, not like Thales and Bloody schools. They do not have a script provided by the school, but they do have a style where teachers stand in front of the class and they present information and have sometimes lecture-based classes, especially when you get into upper middle school. So, for instance, when I was in Mr. Baker's class, he would have different, whatever the topic may be, he would go through it as like a lecture in college. So first they would teach in front of the classroom, and then they would go and they would have students practice what they learned through, again, dependent guided practice with the teacher's help as well as other students, and then independent practice in class, as well as lots of homework to help them understand the material. Again, they have lecture-based classes, which will help students not just in high school, but also in college, which is pretty amazing that students in middle school have this foundation even before they get to high school. They will, again, this very similar to direct instruction. The teacher stands in front of the classroom and they teach, but that's not it. They incorporate project-based learning on top of that, so it's not all teachers in front, you do your work. They do projects in this, and they incorporate different aspects. For instance, though they don't have like electives per se, they do have, they incorporate elective type style things inside of each subject matter. So, for instance, in history, if you're learning about, let's say, the Egyptian mummies or the Egyptian gods, then you would maybe draw, you would have an art teacher come in and show you how they drew, different, how to draw those certain types of gods just to get them to have hands-on experiences, not just sitting in a chair all day, not just listening, regurgitating, but having something that they can feel like they can call their own and be proud of, and then presenting in front of the, sometimes they present in front of the class, sometimes they would hang it on the walls, just different things like that. But importantly, they also have real-world applications. So it wouldn't just be something that was, like for instance, in science, you may have a project that's modified for the classroom, but it still is still applicable to the real world. So unfortunately, Mrs. Griffin, the former principal, could not be here tonight, but I did want to highlight a quote she did have. In an interview with WUNC 91.5, effective teachers, small class sizes, project-based learning, these are all the things that are likely boosting Magellan's student performance. And that's all what is attributing to Magellan's success rate. And then, of course, a quote by Ferdinand Magellan: "The sea is dangerous and its storms are terrible, but these obstacles have never been sufficient reason to remain ashore." And this is important to them because, not just because this is who they're named after, but also because their academic philosophy wants to push students and not, they want to push them with course material. They are very, they have rigorous courses, but not, do it by yourself, but they guide the student so that they themselves will push themselves and not other people pushing them. And then, so after analyzing these 4 schools, I took all the methods and I put them all onto one slide here. So just to recap, lecture-based classes, and this is either in one or more schools. So lecture-based classes, student-teacher mentorship, trivium, preventive system, Socratic method, classical education, under-emphasis test scores, mastery of content, Socratic seminars, maintenance of foundational skills, direct instruction, and of course project-based learning. Integrate different projects, but also have not separate subjects, but all subjects working together. So, for instance, let's see, let's say you're writing a research paper for science, you would have your English teacher in English class help you write your paper with grammar rules and different things. And then, of course, with history, with English, and then, of course, science, you could apply math within science. So all subjects are working together as one. So my proposal after doing this is not only for Falls Lake Academy, but could be applicable to homeschoolers, it could be applicable to parochial schools, to charter schools, and to private schools, basically any educational status. So again, due to the differences of terminology and redundancy of methods, I have thus condensed, modified, and arranged these different strategies into two core proposals, which is a student-teacher mentorship and a required seminar class. So a student-teacher mentorship program. So research has actually shown that having a trusted adult in as a teacher or in a school setting to help navigate students through their high school career has actually proven to increase attendance, increase with better grades, higher test scores, a sense of belonging and connectedness to the school and the community, and belief in oneself as a learner, so that they have confidence in themselves throughout high school and in college. So I wanted to, instead of creating new programs and new things, I wanted to utilize what we already have, because school budgets are obviously not large, and teachers don't have a lot of time to learn new things, and so I wanted to maximize our pre-existent resources. So as I said, don't reinvent the wheel. There's something working for your school, don't abandon it, but adapt it to the different methods. So what I did, as an example for our school, Falls Lake Academy, at Falls Lake Academy, each student has a personal adult advocate, or a PAA. So each student has a designated teacher. It's similar to homeroom, but a little bit more involved. They will call home monthly to check on their status and with the student, especially if they are lacking, if they're missing assignment, if they're failing a class. They'll also check in with students. They will check in with students to make sure that they are on top of their assignments, on top of different, whether it be for classes or especially with senior year with your senior project, especially they are heavily involved in your senior year. So because this is actually new, I believe this year, Monday is I could be wrong, but Monday is a closed campus day. So the rest of the week, students can go off for lunch, and fire time is like our study hall. So they can go out for lunch, they can go off campus, that is juniors and seniors, of course. But they cannot go off on Mondays. Mondays, everybody has to stay with their PAA. And that's in case if there are announcements, if there is any related thing with senior projects for course registration, whatever it may be. So I took this and I ran with it. And so I created something called Mentorship Monday. This is a proposal where because everyone is on campus, we don't have to create a new program. Well, we don't have to modify our schedules. What I did was I took how many students are to a PA. So the average is around 20 students to every PAA. So every Monday, you're with your PAA already from 11:20 to 12 o'clock. So roughly, 40 minutes. So basically, each Monday, a PAA would meet with 5 other students for roughly 8 minutes for time's sake. And they can, this is not to limit the student or try to give them less time, but simply if they need more time to talk, they can always schedule a time with their PAA during another fire time or lunch or after school. But what I did was they would have different goals. So basically, they would check again with their academic standing, They would check, with their academics and as a whole, missing assignments, what they already do. But I wanted to add a layer to it. So Mentorship Monday goals. So also known as AOS. So you address, offer, and set. So address current academic standing, your grades, missing assignments, your attendance. That's a big thing. Not missing school too much. Tardies, again, they increase with the lunch detention, but also making sure that things that they could do at home to make sure that they're not late all the time. Behavioral concerns. Address one-on-one, instead of having to go to the principal's office all the time, they can address it with their PAA, and then offer other pertinent issues. So like if something is going on that they need to talk about with their PAA, they can always talk about that. And then offer social support when it comes to friends, when it comes to, especially in the classroom where, let's say they're being disruptive, help them, or if they notice a student who is detached from the rest of the class, help them socially. Mental support, so like mental health. Not obviously you can't do all of mental health in every Monday, but if there's a certain concern that the student has that they want to open up about that and how it's affecting their academics, they are more than welcome to talk to that. And emotional support to help them, again, with that mental health. But primarily, they're there to listen to the students, again, to have that counselship, very similar to the mentorship type at like St. Thomas More and different places. And again, the preventive system, which applies to the Mentorship Monday. So basically, obviously the preventive system has religious ideals integrated to them, but there are applicable strategies within the preventive system that could be applied to Falls Lake. For instance, instead of, like I said, going to the principal's office all the time, they talk with their PAA, or being counseled by their PAA, which again is not outside. It's not like we're creating a new schedule. It's already built in to our schedule that we have. And of course, the last is set academic goals, behavioral goals, social goals, physical goals, mental health goals, and also, especially during senior year, post-high school goals. So this would not so much them doing goals for you or like tracking, but say, okay, you're you're failing this class right now. What can you do and what can I help you do to get a passing grade and even beyond a passing grade? Or if there is a behavioral issue with one of the students, talk about, again, underlying causes for why, but also help them to small increments. And then, of course, physical growth, mind, body, and spirit. Encourage, one thing that Falls Lake Academy does, which is good, is that sometimes they go for walks around the building just to get outside, get into nature, get a little brain break, because sitting in a classroom all day can be exhaustive, both physically and mentally. And of course, mental health goals, which to improve, similar to offering support where you listen, but this time you're saying, okay, I understand. What can we do to help you? What can the PAA and as a school as a whole help you to succeed? And of course, postgraduate goals. So college applications, making sure that they have their things in on time, which again, which I'll get into later, but seminar classes help you with, but also making sure that, especially not just for senior year, but your 4 years with course registration for other classes, making sure that you have everything on time. And if you don't, then they'll help you succeed. They won't do it for you, but they'll see what they can do so that you may be able to succeed in high school as a whole. And also, you will check in every month. So this is another thing. So you would meet with your PAA every month. So you would talk about, again, the address, offer, set, but they would check in with their goals. How are you doing on in this class? How can, helping the student. And then so the next proposal was 4 seminar classes. So Fallsley Academy has 2 seminar classes right now. So freshman seminar, which is mandatory for all freshmen to take, and senior seminar is optional. So you do not have to take senior seminar, although I would highly recommend it. Freshman seminar helps students with skills that are useful for the high school career. They help with note-taking, public speaking, anything that you, writing essays, anything that you need. Again, kind of foundational skills. But also they have senior seminar. So senior seminar helps with, again, capstone projects, especially with the research and the writing of the paper. And then also help with college applications through, especially through the Common app, helping you apply to different colleges. So what I wanted to introduce is a 4 courses mandatory seminar class. So what this would mean is that each year you would have a mandatory class where it teaches you foundational skills that you would need both in high school as well as in college. So for instance, they would be termed freshman seminar, a sophomore seminar, junior seminar, and senior seminar. So because of because we're for high school especially, we are more similar to St. Thomas More in that we could do long term and do trivium, but for short term, I termed it quavium, meaning the four phases that each student goes through in these seminar classes. So the first phase, again, is grammar knowledge. So you will, again, relearn basic grammar rules for writing essays, for basically any project that you need, you're going to need basic grammar rules. And then, of course, you'll discover the what's of reality, like what I talked about. You will learn the facts. You will learn, similar to Luddy's and elementary, except that it's on a higher level with high school, where you learn, different historical facts, whatever you need to know. So freshman seminar, the objectives would be, again, note-taking. Note-taking is a big thing that that they emphasize and they still need to emphasize. Study habits, how to study. Different methods. I remember some teachers recommended different various methods that work for them, some don't work for others. Public speaking, we haven't emphasized this enough, but we should do that more. And then, of course, writing essays, and again, the grammar rules of which I mentioned, and the grammar and knowledge phase. The next one is logic and understanding. So you will learn basic analytical skills. So you will learn, again, the whys of these realities. Why does the Earth revolve around the sun? Right. Why these different the whys of the different facts, and how basically it gets them to think deeper about knowledge that they have received throughout their elementary and middle school years, so that it's not just something you regurgitate, but something that you have a deep understanding about. You'll learn the principles of this information that you have learned from the prior year. So you're not learning something totally separate, but you're building upon each year. And then, of course, like I said, you're starting the whys. So in sophomore seminar, you would learn analytical skills, specifically rhetorical analytical skills, critical thinking skills, and writing research papers, which is a big thing. Learning to provide evidence and not just stating what you believe, but what evidence you have to back that up. And also having support for your beliefs. And then you'll build on these skills from the prior year. Again, it's not something new, but it's a continual, consecutively building upon each other. So the third is rhetoric and wisdom. So the main objectives here is persuasive argumentation, how to argue your point, not just I believe what I believe, here you go, but why you believe what you believe with evidence to back it up. You will form your own views on the facts, not just know 1 + 1 is 2. Again, with the rhetoric, why? Why is 1 + 1 2? Or let's say a historical situation. I remember Mr. Rhodes, one of the history teacher here at Falls Lake Academy. He instead of just teaching us, writing down notes. We dropped a bomb on Nagasaki and Hiroshima. You take a test and you get a grade, you move on, but we had debates. Was it right to do that? Was it wrong to do that? Was America justified in doing that? But they don't have to back it up. Okay, you have a claim, now you need to back it up with sufficient evidence. And then the teachers will challenge your opinions. And this is not to dissuade you or disagree with you, or for the teacher to express her own opinions. Even if the teacher agrees with you, she still needs to challenge and say, okay, but this. They need to basically play devil's advocate, which is something that I have noticed has improved quite a bit at Falls Lake. And of course, they'll study the how. How does this apply to the real world? And then the third is junior seminar. So junior seminar, so you'll conduct a Socratic seminar similar to Magellan. You will engage in the debates with your research with backed up evidence. You'll practice public speaking skills, which you would have started to learn with freshman seminar, but there was a little kind of lax when we went on in years. But revisiting that so that students will have public speaking skills, and then of course writing argumentative essays. So not just research papers of going in, finding research for this topic or that topic, but argumentative, having opinions and stating it with backed up research. So not just having research, but having opinion that supports your argument. And of course, rhetorical and analysis skills, which I mentioned before. So the last one, because obviously there's 4 years in high school, not 3, there had to be a third one, and I termed it contemplation and prudence because we want to help students in this transition from high school into college or whatever they may be doing. So basically, students need to relook at what they learned these past years of high school and then apply it to themselves. So they will ask who of these realities, what does this have to do with me, and what will I do now? So they will develop decision-making skills because they'll have to decide what college they're going to, what major they're going to major in, marriage, whatever they may be doing in life. They have to have, and they have to contemplate whether this is a good, these life-changing consequences, because man, these are very life-changing. And of course, self-reflection, reflecting on themselves and what matters to them and what are their what are they good at? What is their strength in school? So that will help them. And so this will translate into senior seminar. So senior seminar, of course, you would still have help with your Capstone Project. You also have help, of course, with your college application process. But the different thing is that you will not just be helped with your application process, you will be helped deciding what college you want to go to, why you want to go to this college over this college, what do you want to do, major in, not just strictly applying and assuming that you have everything together. Soul searching, which relates back to the self-reflection. And they discover who they are and what matters to them. And so they will apply the past seminar classes to the real world. And not just in the classroom, but now since they're going out into the real world, some are going to college, to help them be better prepared for the real world. So lastly, Clay Alexander, he unfortunately cannot be with us tonight, but he does have a video to show. He did record a video for us. So he is the director of first-year recruitment for the University of Tennessee, Knoxville. He looked over my paper, and he is going to talk about the benefits as he sees from a learned professional's point of view of going into college and how this will help students with tangible evidence to show how this is actually going to help students in the real world, and not just in high school, and not just in theory, but proven to help the community. It's the video. Mm-hmm.
Hello, my name's Clay Alexander. I'm the Director of First Year Recruitment in the Undergraduate Admissions Office at the University of Tennessee in Knoxville. My friend Michael Cesar asked me to read his paper on his Capstone Project, which has evaluated the charter schools and some select few charter schools in North Carolina as he's seeking to analyze and determine methods for improving the outcomes of student performance in the school environment, specifically at Falls Lake Academy. And I applaud his research because I do believe the academic environment is very important to colleges and universities as they are evaluating students, because the academic environment of that school can differentiate one student from another student, especially if they have the exact same GPA and test scores. So that academic environment can let us know the true preparation that student has for higher education. I do believe that Michael's analysis has focused on two very important areas, one of which he mentioned a mentorship program. And at the University of Tennessee, we actually include that in our first year student experience, a mentorship program, what we call Vol Success Teams, which every one of our students have. And in that Vol Success Team, there are 5 individuals that work with each student. And 2 of those individuals are mentors, a upper class student mentor and a faculty mentor. So we see the value of a mentorship program with regards to student success. We believe it definitely aids students in being successful and preventing them from the pitfalls that sometimes commonly occur in college performance. The other thing that Michael focused on was this sequential seminar experience, not just in the freshman year and the senior year, but each year of high school. And I think that is a great program, a great thing to implement because you can each year build on each year, culminating in a capstone, much like Michael's working on now, but each year can define what will be happening for the next year, the preparation that will be needed as a student moves from their freshman to sophomore to junior and even senior year. Because it's not just how a student starts, and it's not just how they finish, but it's how a student does all 4 years. But because colleges and university admissions offices, we look at all 4 years. And really, the junior year is the most important because we're telling students to apply early in their senior year to college. Well, they're not going to have grades. So really, they're being evaluated, and admission is being determined based off of their first 3 years of work. So those first 3 years are critical. So if you can have a student involved in a sequential seminar type program where they build skills each year to culminate in that senior year experience and how they finish, I think that's a really great plan of action and goal for Falls Lake Academy. So I do like that Michael has kind of honed in on those 2 things, a mentorship program and a sequential seminar program going throughout all 4 years. You know, what do colleges and university admissions offices look for? Most important, it is what success a student has in the classroom. Some schools, like the University of Tennessee Knoxville, are still looking at test scores, but a student's GPA and their grades in core classes, English, math, science, history, foreign language. Those are the grades that your more selective colleges and universities are going to be focusing in on. And so it is important that students focus on their core subject areas, as well the rigor of those core subjects. I would encourage someone like an engineering student to be challenging themselves in math courses. Somebody that wants to go in the medical field, be challenging themselves in science classes. Students should challenge themselves in subjects where it is their strength. I was not a strong math student, so I would have not taken rigorous math courses. I would do what I'm best at and challenge myself in English and history and those core subjects. So I think Michael's research, the analysis, the importance of the academic environment is spot on. And the academic environment does play heavily into a college admissions office's decision of whether or not to admit, deny, waitlist, transfer pathway be offered to a student. So I endorse and applaud Michael on what he has submitted, and I wish him all the best in his project.
Okay. Is this on? Okay. Let's see. So we play the video. Okay. So just again, quote, I think Michael's research, the analysis, and importance of the academic environment is spot on. I endorse and applaud Michael on what he has submitted. Clay Alexander, Director of Admissions for first-year recruitment students at University of Tennessee, Knoxville. So those are my sources for my presentation. There's a lot more, and I have it on my paper, but just for liability's sake. And so now we have Q&A. I think Mr. Page is going to use the microphone just in case anybody had any questions. And yeah. But I have to turn my mic off, so go ahead.
Question I did have is, as you were doing your research and you did a comparison of the 4 different schools, what was the most meaningful thing to you as a student at Falls Lake Academy that when you looked at the different schools, what was it about being a Falls Lake Academy soon-to-be graduate meant the most to you in your research as you were doing it? What was it that you were probably the most passionate about when you were doing this project?
Question. I guess this goes back to some conversations I had with teachers about their desire to better our educational environment, because even the students have said that sometimes they have felt like they didn't feel prepared for the college and the real world, and they didn't feel prepared for the rigorous courses, and and professors, they just let them go. I mean, they assume that they know these prior knowledge. But again, I guess going back to what some of the students said, they felt like they had their hand held, and I wanted, which has greatly actually improved since Johnson and Pearson came. I guess for me, I just wanted to see leave behind something different than see positive change, because there's a lot of negative change in this world, and I want to see a positive change to our school environment. So does that answer your question? Yes, sir. Okay.
Let me see. Okay, there we go. I have a question. So I have, we're currently homeschooling our children, right? And within a homeschool environment, within your studies that you've done, what are some of the things that you feel are most important based upon your research in a homeschool setting? Because it's almost like you're already kind of getting that, personal training effect with the children, right? But what are some of the things that really stand out to you that we should maybe emphasize within homeschool setting?
Good question. So I think that homeschoolers actually have an advantage, especially when it comes to the counseling and the mentorship, because a lot of times the teachers are the parents. Some homeschooling, they do it in groups, so that could differ with that. But traditional homeschooling, I guess, like what I said, with using what you already have, if you could implement something new, that would be great. It would, again, of course, another advantage is you probably have more liberty when it comes to the classroom than other other schools where they had to get it approved through a principal and, of course, the chain of command. But I think probably one of the most important things is thinking deeper about what they're being taught. People, a lot of times, again, the regurgitation of facts, the not being so involved where it's just, you learn this, you move on. And I think is to really hone in on what the child's strengths are, what they enjoy, and then apply that. So meet them where they are, but also meet them, again, because it's homeschooling, you have the advantage where you can take this child's strengths and you can apply it to the academic world, and you've seen how they grow up. You have more knowledge of the child's past than, let's say, someone hired for a school. Does that answer your question, or?
Yeah. No, I definitely think, like, one of the things that is interesting that you brought up is this idea of critical thinking, right? And thinking deeper and being able to make, as they age, as they get older, right? And to be able to, rather than regurgitate facts, it's really how do we think through situations and how does this affect us for not only now, but how is this going to affect us, later on.
Right.
So, no, I appreciate it.
Anybody else, or? Okay.
Okay, so it sounds like this could be a formal proposal to your school to implement some sort of changes like this. So what would be some of the greatest hurdles to, so for instance, if you took this to the administration and say, hey, I think this would be great for the school for the future, what are some of the potential hurdles to getting this implemented? Like, what would be some of the challenges to making these changes? And what, are there feasible solutions to overcoming them to still make these successful?
Okay, good question. So one thing also is, while I did have a proposal which was specifically planned for my school, other schools, whether it be homeschooling even, or could also modify these so that they can use these strategies in a way that works best for them. So while it is, I did make it specifically for my school, it's also for local schools as well. But to your point, I think not a hurdle, but let me start with the hurdles. Probably getting the logistics of it. Probably the administration, I think, would be. I see in this time of our school's history, I think it's actually more feasible because. Again, as I showed in the beginning, our administration really wants to make our school better, and I know that the executive director has had teachers go to listen to different seminars, to listen there to make their classroom better. And again, I think another good thing is the using what you already have instead of creating a whole new system. But for hurdles, I'd probably say the biggest thing would be teachers and their time, because teachers are very short on time and they're very hardworking, and they're on a lot of times on a unfortunately not being compensated adequately. So, which is why I want to incorporate in the school day, and have it where it's not too much of a burden. Which one thing that I forgot to mention is not just have the PAA, but also with the principal, which could be definitely hard for bigger schools. So I think that would be the biggest difficulty, is implementing it and seeing it in action. And well, theories are great when it's put into practice. Of course, also time, because making course plans for 4 new courses would be very time consuming too.
So my background is clinical social work. I'm a big supporter of mentorship programs. And a question that I do have is in the line of work that I do, we do a lot of things what's called pilot projects. Pilot where you take a small sample and you see how the results are at the end from the implementation phase, through the design and so forth. What's impressive about this is that you have a design, right? And I'm wondering, and based upon that last question about what possibly could be some hurdles, is to saying to the administration, rather than us doing this full fold for the entire school, let's take a sample size from the freshman, sophomore, junior, and seniors, maybe 10 students in the freshman year, 10, and try a pilot and run them all at the same time for, let's say, a full semester. And at the end of that semester, the data may show the improvement of attendance, improvement in grades, improvement in behavior, improvement on all of those factors that you listed here in your presentation. So do you think that the school, possibly your administration, may go for a pilot initially before doing something full-fledged, let's say, for the whole school? So.
That's a great point. So actually, funny you mentioned that. So after doing my research, when I was thinking about what I could do as a product, was what you were saying, having samples, like taking a student, have them do this, not applying it to the big picture yet. But unfortunately, for time's sake, that was not feasible. If I would have worked on this maybe, consecutively through my whole high school career, which fortunately, they have the school administration to change this year. So unfortunately, as a senior, we still had to do our whole senior project in 1 year. But as a senior, they have now changed it so that you're working it through your whole. So that was one of the possibilities I did have. I think that I think it's just going to take time. So I think doing that with having the samples first would be great. I know that the administration does want to implement different things, but again, it's going to take time. Like, they do want to have new buildings and do this, but again, it's going to take time. So I think small level, doing it in increments. I mean, little progress is better than no progress. Anybody else? Or okay, I think we're good. Alrighty. Well, I thank you all for being here tonight. Let me see, where's my clicker here? I just want to say thank you for North Raleigh Church of Christ for providing the facility. I just want to thank everyone here for being here, and for representing, whether it be Magellan, homeschooling, different types of education. And I just want to say thank you and have a safe trip home. So thank you, everybody.
much.